The early morning sky over the Pacific coast was still dim when the sound of engines began to echo across the shoreline. A group of U.S. Marines stood in formation, eyes fixed on the water ahead. They weren't waiting for a helicopter or a ship. They were waiting for something far more intimidating, something that could move like a tank on land and glide through waves like a predator beneath the surface. Moments later, the Eight-Wheeled Amphibious Combat Vehicles, or ACVs, roared to life. Lance Corporal Tyler Brooks adjusted his helmet and swallowed hard. Though he had trained for months with the ACV unit, every mission felt like stepping onto a stage where mistakes were not allowed. "This is it," he muttered as he climbed inside the vehicle. The interior was tight but heavily armored, filled with screens, controls, and the faint scent of fuel and steel. His squad leader, Sergeant Ramirez, gave a confident nod. "Remember, this machine is built to save lives and crush threats. Trust it, and trust each other." Outside, the ACV's massive 8 wheels gripped the sand with ease. Its sleek, modern exterior looked like something from the future, designed for speed, power, and survival in the harshest conditions. The Marines braced themselves as Ramirez signaled the driver. In a sudden surge, the ACV accelerated toward the ocean. The vehicle didn't slow down as it hit the water. Instead, it transitioned smoothly, shifting from a land beast into a fully capable seaborne machine. Waves splashed against its armored frame, but inside, the Marines felt steady and secure. "Unreal," Private Jenkins whispered, staring at the digital map glowing on the screen. "Feels like we're surfing in a tank." As they pushed deeper into the water, radar systems activated, scanning for threats. Communications crackled through their headsets as command relayed updates. The mission was a simulated beach assault, but every Marine treated it like the real thing. Training like this prepared them for hostile shores anywhere in the world. For Brooks, the ACV symbolized more than just firepower. It was a shield, a lifeline, and a promise that when Marines were called into danger, they wouldn't go in unprotected. After several minutes navigating through choppy waves, the ACV's onboard systems confirmed their approach to the simulated enemy shoreline. The engine's deep rumble mixed with the rhythmic crash of water, building a tense anticipation inside the vehicle. Sergeant Ramirez kept his voice calm but firm. "Weapons hot. Stay sharp. Once we hit land, we move fast and precise." Every Marine gripped their gear, rehearsing their roles in their minds. They weren't just passengers, they were an assault force ready to strike the moment those steel doors opened. The transition from sea to shore was seamless. The ACV surged forward, its powerful wheels locking onto the wet sand with incredible force. As the vehicle climbed onto land, the suspension absorbed every bump like a veteran warrior unfazed by battle scars. "This thing eats terrain for breakfast," Jenkins said, unable to hide his excitement. The shoreline was rugged, filled with rocks and dunes, but the ACV moved like it owned the battlefield. Lance Corporal Brooks watched through the onboard monitor as the vehicle's sensors scanned for enemy positions. The simulated targets lit up on the screen: bunker icons, hostile troop markers, and defensive obstacles. The vehicle's turret rotated smoothly, ready to unleash suppressive fire if needed. In the past, Marines would have relied on slower, less protected vehicles. But now, the ACV gave them speed, armor, and offensive capabilities in one unstoppable platform. The rear ramp lowered with a hydraulic hiss, and the Marines moved out in tight formation. Brooks felt the cool coastal air hit his face as boots thudded onto sand. Behind them, the ACV stood like a guardian, turret scanning, wheels ready to reposition at a moment's notice. "Let's clear the first bunker," Ramirez ordered, moving forward with confidence born from trust in his team and in the machine that delivered them safely to the fight. As they advanced, the ACV repositioned alongside them, acting as both cover and fire support. Its presence felt like a silent reassurance. If trouble came, it would strike back harder and faster than anything standing in their way. Brooks glanced back at the vehicle, its 8 wheels planted firmly like roots of a steel giant. In that moment, he didn't just feel like a Marine on a training mission, he felt like part of a powerful force built for any battlefield, across land or sea. The squad advanced through the mock battlefield, taking cover behind dunes while coordinating movements with the ACV. Every few seconds, the vehicle adjusted its position, rotating its turret to simulate providing overwatch fire. Even in a training exercise, the timing had to be perfect. Precision was what separated survival from failure. Sergeant Ramirez's voice came through the comms, steady and strategic. "ACV, shift left and cover Sector Bravo. Squad, push forward." Brooks sprinted with his team, heart pounding but focused. He trusted the ACV behind them. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was part of their team, an armored partner watching their backs. When they reached the simulated enemy bunker, Corporal Davis tossed a training flash charge through the opening. A blinding light burst inside, signaling a successful breach. "Bunker cleared," Davis shouted. Almost immediately, a simulated counterattack warning blared through their headsets. Hostile digital markers appeared on the squad's HUD display, coming from the ridge line ahead. Within seconds, the ACV repositioned, bracing itself as the turret locked onto the projected threat. Even though the weapon wasn't firing live rounds, the power in its movement felt real. Brooks could imagine what it would be like in an actual combat zone, how that turret could lay down devastating suppressive fire to protect advancing Marines. "Marines, move to the next objective. We're rolling with the ACV," Ramirez ordered. Brooks and his squad regrouped and moved quickly alongside the vehicle. Marching next to 8 massive wheels kicking up sand felt like walking beside a steel beast that refused to back down. As they moved toward the final objective, the terrain shifted to rough, uneven ground. Old vehicles, barbed wire formations, and obstacles were scattered across the field. But the ACV maneuvered through it like it was built for chaos. Its advanced suspension absorbed every impact, keeping the Marines inside steady and mission-focused. Brooks felt a surge of pride. This wasn't just a show of strength, it was proof of what modern Marines could do when equipped with the right tools. With every turn of the wheels, the ACV reminded them that no shoreline was too hostile, no terrain too unforgiving. When they reached the final staging point, the squad paused. The next phase would determine how well they coordinated with the ACV under simulated fire. Ramirez glanced back at the vehicle and then at his men. "Remember," he said, "we don't just ride in that machine. We fight with it." Brooks nodded. The final push was coming, and he was ready. The final objective was a fortified position on a high ridge overlooking the coastline. In a real operation, it would be a nest for enemy forces determined to stop any advance from the sea. The Marines prepared for the uphill push as the ACV rolled into a support position. Its engines hummed with controlled power, like a war drum setting the rhythm of the mission. "ACV will lay suppressive fire. On my mark, we advance," Ramirez said calmly through the comms. Even in a simulation, his leadership carried weight. Brooks crouched low, his pulse synced with the subtle vibration of the vehicle behind them. The moment Ramirez raised his fist, the ACV's turret swiveled, unleashing simulated bursts. The sight of the weapon tracking targets was enough to fuel their momentum. "Move!" Ramirez ordered. The squad charged up the slope, using scattered debris as cover. Brooks dove behind a mock barricade, catching his breath for a split second before pushing forward again. The ACV advanced slowly behind them, dominating the terrain with every rotation of its massive wheels. It wasn't just support, it was pressure, forcing the imaginary enemy to retreat. Near the top, Davis signaled an incoming simulated threat on their left flank. Without hesitation, the ACV shifted its stance, repositioning to block the approach. Its armored frame stood like a wall of steel, shielding the Marines as they regrouped. Even in training, the psychological comfort of that machine was undeniable. With coordinated precision, the squad stormed the final position. Brooks planted the training beacon, signaling mission success. A loud tone echoed across the field, marking the end of the exercise. The squad gathered near the ACV as the ramp lowered, the cool metallic surface inviting them back inside. Inside, the mood shifted from intensity to pride. "Solid work," Ramirez said. "And remember, without this machine and without each other, that ridge would have been a different story." Brooks ran his hand along the interior armor plating. The ACV had carried them through water, across sand, and over rough ground without hesitation. It wasn't just technology, it was a promise that Marines would always have the strength to reach the fight, no matter where it began. As the ACV rolled back toward base under the rising sun, Brooks looked out through the small hatch window. With vehicles like this, Marines weren't just surviving missions, they were rewriting what battlefield dominance looked like on land and sea. The 8-wheeled beast moved steadily forward, ready for the next call to action.